Okay, let's continue with the second step. So I'm gonna move these up and grab everything else like that. Control C, come down here, Control V. Okay, bring it down a bit more, and then drop off the top. I don't want this boolean actually. This geometry will be our new moon geometry. Okay, so I'm actually gonna smooth this twice. So I'm gonna do that and that. And on this side, it's gonna take a bit longer, but smooth it 10 iterations. So, well, it didn't take longer then, but at higher resolution. So basically, because we're gonna be scattering points onto the surface, I don't want, you know, crazy geometry where, because I'm gonna be scattering points and then putting spheres onto it. And if we've got here, we're close to it. If we've got spheres getting copied on and they're, you know, at a funny angle, it won't work very well. So I'm going to smooth it out there, do that, and then just view this. So there we can see a problem already. We've got points at the top and on the side, and we want to get rid of them. So easy way to do that, just to, we could probably just delete them with the delete box. Yeah, so come here, grab a delete, send this to bounding box. Let me save this as we go on. I don't want to lose any of this progress, and set this to manual. Spacebar and H to home this. Spacebar and 2. Move across. There we go. And then if you hold Shift, it will scale in both directions. Spacebar and 3. Move this down. So I'm just kind of within the geometry there, and drag it down. So make sure we're capturing it all. Spacebar and 1. Set this to delete non-selected, and then auto update. And there we go. So I only want to scatter points onto this surface, right? So do that. I want to do it a bit different this time. I want to use, you know, both ways are fine, but to have a bit more control, I'd like to paint a density, not paint, but get a, or produce a density attribute on this surface before we scatter. So I'm going to drop an attribute noise here. Okay, so we're seeing that CD attribute there already, but we want a float, and we're going to put this on the primitives, and will be density that we are producing. And let's visualize that density attribute. There we go. Let me try turning this off. There we go. Yeah, this kind of, I'm not sure exactly what it does, but it kind of smooths off the values, I think. So, you know, it's just worth trying turning it off and on. So that's great. Let's bring the element size down. 4, 3. So if you think about it, in the red areas, I think, if I remember right, we'll have lots of craters, and the blue areas will have much less or none. So if we come into the scatter now and turn on density attribute, and then turn off this force total count and start pushing up this, you'll see we've got points, yeah, where it's red here, lots of points there. Perfect. So let's see. I also, yeah, I'd like to control this a bit further by enable this remap again. So I do want some points everywhere. So, you know, we'll have this. I'm just push this up a little. Let me, if I click that, no, not that, this one. Can control it 0.15, let's say. So we've got some points everywhere, but much more in some areas, basically. I set this to 0.8 and 5 there. Let's do this down to 1, so a bit less. So we have a bit of a kind of gradation kind of thing going on. Okay, so that's cool. We could have relaxed iterations, but have them really low. You can see that it doesn't look very natural, so bring it down. So you still spread them out a bit, but still looks better. Cool. So let's see that now. Let's bring the scale down further. So, you know, the general scale, 0.02, that is fine. Maybe for this one, for the P scale, we can have more small pieces like that. It's 0.2. Maybe push this one up. There we go. It's nice. So again, more smaller pieces, fewer very large pieces. You can see a couple of, you know, the orientation of these. That's why I've smoothed this out, because I don't want a piece like this kind of in this orientation, if you know what I mean. And then the noise there, this will probably need to be adjusted also. So in the fit, we've got different values. So the scale, in the P scale, if we go into geometry spreadsheet, the P scale is going from 0.2 to 1. So put that in, 0.2 to 1, and then just play around with it until you find something you like. I'm going to bring this down to 1, and then this to 0.3. Let's see. Okay, and then the noise, I'm going to bump this up substantially. Well, the frequency, as we, you know, we got smaller pieces, I want smaller scale of noise. Maybe less roughness. Actually, let me drop that value down. Let's see if we come in here. Yeah, something like that looks okay. Cool. Jump out to there. And then these should be to the control. Perfect. So this will connect up to here. Great. So now we've got all these smaller pieces, and they'll be, well, no, we're not seeing it yet. At the bottom of here, we will see it. These dilate, since we got smaller pieces, I think I'm going to push this dilate down a bit. So let's take a look at all that together. Cool. Okay. So let's drop a file cache and save this. Save the current frame. We'll do more work to this after, but just for now, since you know the geometry is going to be getting quite heavy, save the current frame to geometry folder is fine. I'm going to call this moon. Just moon is fine. Save to disk. Okay, visualize that. That's fine. And then let's push the voxel scale to our final resolution of 001 and let that process through. Looks pretty good, but I don't want to smooth this too much and lose those details. So this second smooth, I'm going to drop that down to 2. There we go. Didn't take so long, so you know it didn't have to cook everything above it. So now we're pulling out just a bit more detail there. So I'm going to save that, and we can continue with from there.